teenage girls or younger teenage girls can say things like, oh, I'm not beautiful, I'm too fat, my hips are too wide. That's an affirmation. Now, every morning you say that affirmation 5, 6 times, oh, I hate myself, I'm unhappy. What are you going to be after 6 months?
So they say that content drives culture. So the kind of lives we live are in a huge way driven by the content we consume. And we're living in an age of hyper short content. You have Instagram Reels, you have short content like on TikTok, 30-second videos, 15-second videos. And they say that the long-term effects of that is that our attention spans become lower. So that's a menace that an entire generation will have to fight. Now, opposed to that, it's practices like these, which will actually combat the effects of content like that, where you try staying in a moment completely. You try listening to a deep, long conversation like this with your full focus. You keep bringing back intense parts of your mind into your daily life. But what would you have to say about that? You know, the way the modern day forms of content are affecting the mind. Do you believe that it is? Because I certainly do.
Yeah, no, 100%. So imagine if I'm just watching 30-second reels, right? I'm watching for 30 seconds and then whatever algorithm is feeding me the next reel, and it could be something I'm totally uninterested in. And then I could watch that for 5, 7 seconds and then go like, I'm not interested. So I swipe and go to the next thing. Now I'm training my awareness to only be on one thing for that limited period of time, whether it's 30 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds. There's a saying I have called, a law I call the law of practice. Meaning, whatever it is you practice is what you become good at. So if I practice concentration every day, I become good at concentration. If I practice distraction all day, I become really good at distraction. So imagine if I'm jumping from one thing to another, every 10 or 15 seconds, because being trained by social media to do that, what would I become good at? I become good at keeping my focus for as long as 15 seconds. So now I'm having a conversation with you, and after 15 seconds, my subconscious tells my mind, okay, it's time to shift to something else. Well, that's really very fun. Did you say something? And then I become a master at that. I become good at whatever it is that happens. And this is where everybody needs to make a choice, right? And that's why I started at the beginning saying that we need to make the case. We need to convince ourselves that, is this the way I want to live? I'm not saying one way is the correct way and one way is an incorrect way. At the end of the day, what do you want in your life? If you want to live a truly rewarding life, a profound life, and to be able to experience these things that you're creating in your life, the food that you choose to buy and eat, the vacation that you choose to buy and go on, the people that you choose to spend time with, then you really need to be able to focus. Because if you can't be focused, how can you actually enjoy that person, listen to them, enjoy what they're sharing with you, and enjoy that chat experience? You can't. You only would have an attention span of 15 or 30 seconds before you shift to something else. And then at the end of your life, you will have 1 trillion shallow experiences, nothing deep and profound.
Yeah, that's why the future is looking a little bleak when it comes to behavioral patterns. That's why they call our generation the generation full of mental health issues. All these things add up. Before we speak about mental health, I'd love to speak about a word you mentioned a couple of times, and I don't think that the modern day human knows much about this concept. The word you mentioned is affirmations. So could you explain what affirmations are and how they can change the human experience? And I ask you that because, there's this saying again from the world of spiritualism that ye dunya ek maya hai, which basically means the world is a simulation. And if you want, through your own willpower and your actions, you can alter that simulation just a little bit for your own long-term benefit and for your own long-term peace, which is a greater concept than just long-term benefit. But I'd love for you to expand on that thought, sir.
Yeah, so affirmation, you could say another word or the Sanskrit word would be mantra. And obviously mantra is a broader word, but basically what it is, it's through a repetition of words, you can create patterns or impressions in the subconscious mind. So a simplified way to look at the mind is you can look at the mind as having 3 states. You have the conscious mind, which is the external mind, it's tied to your physical body. You have the subconscious mind, So you could say if you drew a 3-story building, your conscious mind would be on the ground floor. The subconscious would be on the second floor. The subconscious, basically what it is, it's a hard drive. Every experience you've ever had in your life gets stored in the subconscious. Whether you remember it or you don't remember it, it gets registered there. Any information you consume gets stored in the subconscious. And then the third area of the mind, state of mind, would be the superconscious. That's the highly intuitive, creative, spiritual area of the mind. That would be like one. So when you repeat something over and over again, and again, repetition and practice does not have the ability to discriminate whether it's good for you or not good for you. So if I repeat a pattern that's negative, my mind doesn't tell me, stop doing that, I'm doing something wrong, right? It will just create the pattern in the subconscious. So one way to create patterns within the subconscious is to use an affirmation. And that affirmation consists of 3 components: concise choice of positive words, clear visualization, a corresponding visualization, and then a corresponding feeling. The feeling is the most important part of an affirmation. A lot of people say affirmations by just saying words. I am happy. And words alone is not enough to create the effect or the impression in the subconscious that would then result in some benefit that you want. So you would have to use a combination of words, visualization, and feeling. So what I would recommend is that, it's really important that before you create an affirmation, that you be very clear what it is you want. Because if you're not clear what you want, then you're going to be creating something. When it actually manifests, you may not be happy with the result of it.
Could you give an example to explain this thought? How it can go wrong?
Yeah, so for example, people say affirmations because they heard it on a podcast and they think affirmations are really good. So they say something like, maybe they're a business owner and they see five clients a week. So they're like, oh, I want to see 20 clients a week. So they start saying an affirmation, I will see 20 clients a week, I'll say 20 clients a week. And because their mind's very strong and they're able to manifest that, now all of a sudden they've created a situation that could be overwhelming to them. They don't have the infrastructure within the business to actually support having 20 clients. They don't have systems and processes in place to be able to handle that change. So whatever it is you're planning for, you need to make sure that you are in a place that you can handle what's coming your way. Right? Because if you can't handle what's coming your way, then instead of it being a boon, it can really be a problem. Now, a lot of people also say affirmations without actually knowing that they're saying an affirmation. So, you hear a lot of teenagers, like especially teenage girls or younger teenage girls can say things like, "Oh, I'm not beautiful. I'm too fat. My nose is too big. My hips are too wide." That's an affirmation. Now imagine if every day you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you pick up a toothbrush, you're brushing your teeth, and you go like, my nose is too big, I hate my nose. And I don't like the shape of my eyes. My head is too long. Now every morning you say that affirmation 5-6 times. Oh, I hate myself, I'm unhappy. What are you going to be after 6 months? So you have a podcast show, right?
Yes.
How long have you been doing it for?
We're at about 140 episodes, so a little more than almost a couple of years now.
How many listeners, roughly, average?
I don't know the exact stats, but we're the number one in India. So whatever it takes to be top in India.
Okay. Would you wake up every morning and say, I have the worst podcast show and it's failing every day?
No.
Would you? I'll give you 100 rupees. Would you do it?
No, I wouldn't.
Not for 100 rupees. You wouldn't, right? Because by creating that affirmation, you're creating something that's negative, right? So imagine if people woke up every day, so many people have mental health issues because they don't realize that on a daily basis, they're saying affirmations to themselves that are detrimental to their life. I'm unhappy, I'm sad, I'm really bad at remembering names. Have you ever heard people say that?
Yeah.
I always forget now, I'm really bad at names. I remember I met a lady once, she was like, oh, I always burn my food when I cook it. And so And I said to her, of course you do, because that's what you tell yourself every single day.
The energy you put out into the universe returns to you through the universe. So the food you're cooking, the money you're making, the people you meet are all the universe speaking to you in different forms. But you've got to put out the positivity. You've got to put out, the correct kind of affirmations. And that's why the follow-up question to you is that would it be right to have affirmations like, I am going to be a billionaire, I am going to be happy, I am going to find my perfect partner for my life? Or is this also too extreme an energy to put out?
No, I think the affirmation needs to be clear, but the affirmation needs to be relative to where you are today. So for example, if you're earning $500 a month in salary and your affirmation is every day, I'm going to be a billionaire, it's a big leap to go from $500 a month to billionaire. And that's why most of the time, New Year's resolutions don't work for people, right? At the end of December, everybody comes up with an affirmation. Oh, I'm going to start doing this. In 2022 or 2021, I'm going to start meditating. I remember someone said to me, starting January 1st, I'm going to meditate every day for half an hour. I said, then wonderful, that's great. Meditation's a wonderful practice. I said, do you meditate now? He goes, no. And I go, how the hell are you going to meditate half an hour every day? So if I don't run every day, and I said to myself that starting Monday, I'm going to run 5 miles every day, is it possible? No. The mind is a muscle, right? And if I want to build my muscle, I need to build it in incremental steps. So I always tell people to look at the mind the same way you look at muscles. So for example, if I go to the gym and I bench press 20 kilos every day for 2 weeks, after 2 weeks of bench pressing 20 kilos, should I go from 20 to 22 or should I go from 20 to 80?
Only a 2 kg increment.
Probably a 2 is good, right? 2 or 1.5 or 3. The mind's the same way. You want to change your mind, you need to change it in incremental steps. If you put it big a leap, you can't make the connection from here to here. So but it's important to have the destination outlined, right? So for example, I'm in Delhi, I want to go to Rishikesh, and I want to walk there. That's my goal. So, it's what, 6 hour, 8 hour car ride, depending on traffic, So I have my destination, then what's my first step? The first step, I need to get out of Logan, for example. That's going to take me 5 hours, And then from there, I need to go to the next step and then the next step. So have the big destination, but your affirmation should be based on the small pebbles, small steps that you want to go. So you do an affirmation to get to A. Once you get to A, create a new affirmation to get to B. Once you get to B, create a new affirmation to get to C. Does that make sense? And then keep bench pressing all the time, 2 kilo increments, and you're growing and building your muscle.
Yeah. Along with real world actions, real world tasks, real world schedules and task lists.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, right? Is a lot of people think that the universe is going to help me. All I have to do is sit here and believe, and the universe is going to provide. If I had 1 rupee every time someone said that to me, I'd be a billionaire. The universe is just going to provide for me. I hate to say this, but just a news flash for all people listening, the universe doesn't really care about you. In the sense that, what is the universe? For me, the definition of the universe is galaxy, the sun, Jupiter, Mars, Pluto, Saturn, the planets around. You think they're sitting around every weekend going, how can we make Ranveer's life better? What can we do for him? You think that's what the planets are sitting down and discussing every day? No. Right? So you have to have real world, tangible actions. Right? You have to have a plan, you have to have a strategy, you have to learn, you have to grow, you have to change. And I think that the biggest thing people don't realize about the mind and also affirmation, part of moving from A to B is you have to leave the A mindset and you have to create a B mindset in order to function in B. And if you want to go from B to C, then you need to change your mindset from a B mindset to a C mindset. you can't expect to go to C and still maintain a B mindset, if that makes
So
sense.